Assassin's Creed Climbing. It has more styles in its closet than a metrosexual man ready to hit the town with a jacket that fits any occasion. There's too many different types of Assassin's Creed climbing at this point. I think that no matter where you're at with Assassin's Creed, most people have a favorite type of climbing. There's people who are like 1 through Revelations, that classic style. That was the best. There's people who say Unity. I know it's a little more automated, but Unity, it was so fluid. So no matter what Ubisoft does, there's going to be people who like a different style better. Nate, I wanted to talk to you today about this because it feels like Assassin's Creed keeps ditching its climbing mechanics to do different ones, but it never really goes back to the old ones. It'll introduce a style, do it for a couple games, start to refine it, and then they'll be like, nah, JK, we're moving on to a different style. There's always someone saying, I miss the old style, and they don't get any more games like that.
Yeah, and the weird thing, too, is whenever people say, I miss the old style, there's never, like, a clear defined old style. Because old style could mean 1 through Revelations, old style could just mean 1, old style could mean 2, old style could mean 3 and Black Flag, old style could mean Unity. It's like, what does that even mean, first of all? Second of all, I think there's a lot of benefits with all the styles of climbing. Yeah. And that's the weird thing to me is, when I play Origins through Valhalla, I'm having a good time with the climbing. When I play AC3, I like the climbing, same with 1 and all of them. Like, I like the climbing in almost every game.
We think Ubisoft could do more to actually cater to players liking the different styles instead of just throwing them out after a couple games.
Right, and that could go for saying with pretty much anything. Like, they could make RPG games, but also make the old style, quote-unquote, games, too, to appease those fans. So there's a lot of things they could do, but I think Ubisoft has a problem with, they always want to update things. They want to add in a bunch of new features. They want to change things up. They want to get a whole new style. Oh, look at this new feature we have. Like, I would say Assassin's Creed 1 through, I'm going to even include like 4 into this.
Yeah.
Those were great games. To be honest, you didn't really have to change that much about like the style or anything.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit here. If you do enjoy today's video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content. We do make videos on Assassin's Creed. It's been a little bit since we did. YouTube's kind of an interesting platform with lots of topics to talk about. So recently made a Watch Dogs video, which is another Ubisoft property that they have an identity problem with. And that's what I think this comes down to. And it could probably be a whole nother topic in and of itself, just in general with all these mechanics, is Assassin's Creed has had an identity problem for a long time. They don't really know what they want to stick with and what they want to move on from. Even if you look at a game like Skull and Bones, the whole reason that exists is because they kind of clung on to that pirate ship mechanic from Black Flag and Rogue. But they didn't want to actually make more games like that. They thought they knew best by spinning it off into something totally different that it ended up most people hated. And I've noticed that that's kind of something they do. You pointed out with the mechanics is they're always trying to update things. They're always like, look at this new style of combat. Look at this new style of climbing. But then there's a lot of people who really enjoy the old styles of combat. You know, there's people who say, hey, combat peaked at 3 and 4. Why do we never make any games like that anymore? There's people who say climbing peaked at Brotherhood. Why are there no games like Brotherhood with the more manual jump mechanics? You know, so you look at all these styles, you look at AC1, it was very slow. I know some people love it, some hate it, but it was pretty slow. You're kind of methodically making your way up buildings, and it had a lot of thought to it. Like, do I go left? Do I go right? Can I make, you know, a manual jump here or not? And there were mechanics they didn't even tell you about. So the game was kind of deeper than people give it credit for. But also, it has a lot of frustrating bits to it too. You know, it's very slow. There's a lot of mechanics they don't tell you about at all, so you might never learn them. But it has a lot of good things to it too. You know, same with AC2. You start getting into it, it's still slow climbing. It's getting a lot faster. There's more manual jumps upward or across to buildings. But it feels like Ubisoft completely threw out that style of climbing. Like, it's gone. It hasn't been in there since Revelations at all.
Yeah.
And this is something that's very common with them.
Well, and even with AC3 and Black Flag, I would say those two are very similar climbing styles. And Rogue. Those 3 games, it kind of seems to me like they updated from the AC1 through Revelation era.
Yeah.
Like, they basically took that era, they added on some new features onto the climbing specifically. I think they made it a lot easier to climb, like faster, I mean.
And a little more automated.
A little more automated.
Some people hated it and some liked. I liked it.
I did too, but to me it felt like an upgrade.
Yeah.
But then with AC Unity, it seems like they just revamped it all entirely. Like, they made it way more automated, way more parkour-ish, faster, and then Syndicate basically just added in the grappling hook.
So you're just shooting up buildings.
You didn't have to climb anyway.
But some people like those two.
And I love Syndicate's climbing.
Yeah.
I love the grappling hook. That's one of my favorite things ever. But it seems like every couple of games, Ubisoft changes it up. And then with the RPGs, though, it's totally different.
It's kind of like
a 180.
And it's weird because to me, when you had Unity and you had Rogue, it was very automated, but there was still some manual stuff to be doing.
Yeah.
Jumping backwards off walls.
Yep.
There was, I can think of the classic Arno climbing puzzle when you're trying to get into the Assassin's Brotherhood for the first time.
Yeah, right.
That was an example to me of, okay, well, they're clearly taking inspiration from the old styles, but also going in a new direction. When you got to the RPGs, and it's not really meant to be a knock on them, I would argue some of those are almost entirely automated.
Oh, they're absolutely automated. You literally just have a wall, doesn't matter if it's a building, a cliff, doesn't matter, and you just walk up to it and hold the climbing button and he goes.
But you love it still.
I love it. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I play every Assassin's Creed game and I can recognize the climbing's different in most of them, but I still have a good time. I just know, hey, I'm playing Unity, so Unity's climbing is going to be different than AC1. I'm going to have a good time with it. AC1's more methodical. I'm going to have a good time with that, although it's my least favorite personally, but you can have a good time. It's fun.
But I do think it's
enjoyable.
Unfortunate that
Ubisoft
doesn't acknowledge that.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing to me is I don't know why Ubisoft doesn't just make games based on their old content. Mirage, I think, did a really good job bringing in features from the older style of games and the newer style of games. I thought it was a cool mix. Fun. I thought it was very fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they don't just make an Assassin's Creed 2 style game.
I've wondered that too for a long time. So you have a lot of people that are very fed up with the RPG direction, of the series. And I like RPGs. People who watch this channel know I even have a whole channel, JayRPG, where I talk mainly about RPG games and stuff like that. So it's not like I have anything against that style. My problem, I think, with it is, again, the identity issue of it seems like they're always trying to course correct their own decisions.
Yeah.
So they'll make a game and they will make Unity. And there's a lot of people who think the climbing peaked at Unity. And this is what I think is so frustrating for those people, just like it's so frustrating for the people who love the pirate and boat mechanics of, AC4 and Rogue and things like this, right? You can do this with anything, specifically the climbing in this video, is that those people who feel like, hey, this peaked here, they'll never get another game like it. They get a limited amount of time with the mechanics they connect with the most. I think there are people like you and me who enjoy each one, and that's cool. But I think your point too was, why not go back and make a game like AC3 for climbing for people who love that? You're a huge company. Why not do that? Why not make a game like Brotherhood? Why not make a game like Unity? But instead, they just ditch them. But the online community is so vocal about liking those things. I don't think I've ever seen a company so much, other than Activision will Call of Duty maybe, ignore the root of groups of probably thousands to tens of thousands, if not more, fans.
Yeah, and it also kind of appears out of touch too. As in, you just know what's best for the company and I'm not listening to anyone else. And it's just, I don't know, it's so weird because from a company standpoint, I understand you want to keep your product new and fresh, because that's what keeps people coming back to you. You don't want your product getting stale. Fine, fair enough. But the thing is, why are you trying to keep it fresh this often? Why is it we made AC Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. That's 3 RPG games. All right, switch it up. Go back to Mirage now. And it's if you want to do RPG games, make 5 or 6 RPG games if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, but you could be making other stuff on the side.
And that's what I'm saying. It seems like you could just either just go all in on something and do that for a while, or B, just make stuff for the fans.
Right.
You know, the fans have been wanting a game that's similar to AC2 for like ever.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans have been wanting a game similar to Unity. A lot of fans really want a game similar to AC3. Like, there's fans from all these eras. So you're not really doing option A too well.
Mm-hmm.
Option A is going all in on something. You're not doing that too well because you keep switching it up.
Right.
Option B, you're not doing too well either because you're ignoring the fans. So I don't really get what AC's doing. You know, and this is coming from someone who loves every game. I love all the Assassin's Creed games. Every single one of them I love. It's my favorite game series. I have none of them that I dislike. Mm-hmm. I love all of them.
You're a shill.
I'm a shill.
Yeah, you be shill.
I literally, I load up Assassin's Creed and I am like at full mass already.
Well, that's great.
Like any of them. So, but it's still so confusing to me why Ubisoft, in the area of climbing, why Ubisoft feels the need to switch up the climbing so often. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. You know, because you can look at the series, AC1 through Revelations, that's 4 games. Very similar climbing. AC3 and 4, a very similar climbing, and Rogue, so 3 games. Unity and Syndicate, 2 games, very similar climbing. And then RPG games, 3 games, it's like, they do like 2 or 3 games and they're basically like, all right, move on, something else.
Well, have you noticed too,
it doesn't make sense.
Their changes don't usually affect, or I would say they don't usually address criticism.
No, they don't. They just switch them up to switch them up.
But have you noticed that in the past they used to address criticism a little bit?
Yeah.
People would say things, and if you go back, people actually were saying things like, hey, how come there's trees and an assassin can climb the side of a cliff-faced building, but he can't climb a cliff or a tree?
Yeah.
So AC3, 4, Rogue, they addressed that. But nowadays, you're going to be hard-pressed to climb many trees. You know, like, I'm not saying it's totally gone, but it's not something that's super common, right? Like, they kind of moved away from that. Same thing with some of these other obstacles and climbing types and scenarios and things. It's just so weird to me that they were doing things to address criticisms of, okay, well, people loved AC1's climbing. Oh, you guys thought it was a little slow? We'll speed it up a little bit in 2. Okay, you guys like that again? We'll just do the next step of that. They were kind of doing these things to address what the fans were thinking and feeling as they played. I don't know, other than Mirage, actually, because I think Mirage was designed well. I think I really love that game.
Same.
And I think it was designed to address a lot of criticisms that people had. Other than that, I can't think of the last time that Assassin's Creed listened as a series. Can you? Like, I can't think of the last time since maybe the era of 4 that they were like, oh, fans think this. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, the only time was actually a DLC for Valhalla, at least that I can think of off the top of my head, where they added in, like, pigeon missions. Where, remember from, like, AC Brotherhood, how you can go to, like, a pigeons thing, and like, it gives you
the pigeon coops,
Yeah, it gives you, like, a contract and stuff. They added that in a DLC for Valhalla.
So they listened there.
That one specific thing.
Well, and see, I know that I could take this completely off course. I think we probably will make another video on the identity type thing, because it ties into everything, like every aspect of the game. But I do think that for me, it feels to me like they used to make these games with climbing and with all of these things to address what people were thinking, feeling, what gamers were connecting with, what the developers were connecting with. And now, other than Mirage, which does deserve credit for it, it doesn't seem to me like they've done much in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years to say, hey, you guys are enjoying this or not enjoying this, let's do the next natural step. When people were complaining about the RPGs, they tripled down on it. When people were complaining, hey, where's Black Flag? Like, how come we never got in our game like that? They, I guess, want to remake it, but they never wanted to give it any kind of proper type of sequel.
Or even give it like a HD remaster, 60 FPS boost.
Why do that when they could resell you an entire game remake?
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's, like, it's become corporate.
And literally their answer to that criticism was, here's Skull and Bones. And it's like, okay, but no one wants that.
No.
Like, there are fans, and that's fine, but people wanted AC4 too.
Yeah.
Like,
and with how reamed Skull and Bones got, I would argue that even if you are a fan of it, a lot of people weren't.
Right, exactly.
I think would be the nice way to say it.
Yeah, right. So, I don't know. I guess I just don't understand, Like I said before, I get wanting to update things. I thought they did a great job with that in the AC1 through Revelations era. Every game felt like a step up to the last one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you get to Revelations, it still felt like AC1's climbing, but it felt better. And I liked that. Mm-hmm. I thought it was cool. AC3, yeah, like you said, it was more automatic. And to be honest with you, I'm fine with that change. Like, I don't mind it at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get you need to update things a little bit, change things up, and that's fine. But I just don't get why, from the era of AC3 to Mirage, they've switched the climbing, like, 5 times.
Right.
You know, why is that? Why not do AC3's climbing for AC3, 4, 5, 6? Just have, like, 4 games with AC3's climbing, and then be like, okay, maybe we'll switch things up a little bit.
Yeah, when you go to a new engine or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Because obviously
switch
the game
things a little bit.
Needs to update in some way.
And even nowadays, I honestly don't understand why they don't just say, okay, we're going to make another Assassin's Creed game. It's going to be set maybe, I don't know, before Altair. I have no, I'm just picking up something. And we're just going to have it be very similar to AC 1 and 2.
You have a company as huge as Ubisoft, and they could have Team A make games like 1 through Revelations.
Yeah, exactly.
They could have Team B make games like 3 through Rogue. They could have Team C make games like Unity.
Yeah.
But they don't do that. They don't do that at all.
No.
But then again, it's the same company that keeps canceling and throwing out all of their brands if they don't make, like, if they fall 1 nickel short of some massive projection.
Right.
They're like, nah, sorry, that's on the back burner for 10 years.
I know.
Like Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
They just got, like, reamed completely in an alleyway by Ubisoft executives.
Right.
And it's just unfortunate because this is a company that has the ability to make any of these styles of games they want to. And instead, they keep ignoring any kind of feedback around it. And then the individual developers get the heat for that, even though it's the executives above them making these calls, which really sucks. And then you just end up with a lot of unhappy people. And that's your series. A series that...
Like, no one's happy.
And no one can agree on what it is, whether
Yeah.
it comes to climbing, fighting, anything.
Yep.
It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, there's like 5 groups of AC fans, and every time they release a game, one of those 5 groups is happy.
And they all hate each other,
Yeah, exactly.
by the way.
So
and
it's
they
just-
get mad at each other
Yeah.
about it.
It's stupid.
And it becomes not fun to talk
Yep.
about. I think that's one reason why we backed off of talking about AC.
Yeah, it just got annoying.
Not only was it something where it was like a lot of people didn't watch the videos, but also just everybody fought about it to the point where the series just kind of became not fun.
Yeah.
So anyways, let us know what you think in the comments down below. What was your favorite style of Assassin's Creed climbing and why? I'm actually interested. I do think that they all have their own benefits, believe it or not, even the ones that people hate. I think they do still have really cool, stylish things about them. I personally wish that we could, for me, go back a little bit to the Brotherhood style for some games. You know, it was a little more Tomb Raider-y, a little more Uncharted-y, where you're kind of a little more manual. But I don't know, I like all of them. And I'm just disappointed that for some reason Ubisoft, the biggest company ever, can't get their head on straight when it comes to this stuff. So let us know what you think down there. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content. We do have a Fortnite code. Maybe you've played your favorite Assassin's Creed game, Fortnite, because Ezio and Ivor are in the game. DJAY123 is a little Fortnite code you can use there when you make a purchase. It helps us out a ton. We also do have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop, where you can use that same code DJAY123 for 10% off. We actually go to comic book manga shops, we get old magazines, just basically things where they are damaged, they're unable to be sold. We turn them into coasters, keychains, trays, and more awesome stuff. And my wife Jill makes handmade jewelry over there as well, which is really awesome. Great for any occasion. Like I said, like the metrosexual climbing styles of Assassin's Creed, you too could be a metrosexual that matches any occasion with one of these awesome products. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shui.